It's got everything from uh, Motrin to Advil if you get any aches or sprains while you're out there and you might want to kind of numb that a little bit. It's got some different types of, we jokingly call them the potions, things for poison ivy or bee stings or, insect bites and things like that. The whole thing is like the size of, I'm trying to think of something comparable, but it's about the size of a sandwich. All right. So like your standard peanut butter and jelly sandwich is about that size and it fits in the pack nicely. It's got a small pair of scissors in there, a couple safety pins. It's basically like a little survival kit. My first aid kit had a little bit of extra space, so I stuck an SOL shelter in there, which is like a Mylar blanket that you can put over yourself and one other person and actually kind of use it as a tent if you need to. So it's really nice to have that. So a friend of mine were out hiking in the Santanoni range a couple of years ago, and we encountered another group while we were out there. And they, it was kind of funny too. They had all the patches all over their backpacks, the 46ers and, the Northeast 115, every type of like hiking accolade you could possibly get in the Northeast. They had a patch for some type of affiliation or peak backing list or something. So, and they were just basically adorned with these things. And they weren't really that friendly to us either when we came up to them. We tried to mention, hey, there's a little thing up on the trail, kind of watch out for. And they sort of brushed us off. Like they were really kind of too good to talk to us, which, okay, whatever, moving on, hike your own hike. So after we had completed the range and we're coming back down to the bottom of the express trail, right where it meets the, help me out, I'm having a brain fart, the Bradley Pond Trail.
Bradley Pond, yeah.
Right. So right about where the little brook crossing is right there, we came up to them again, and one of the two had an accident. He had some type of a fall, and his hand was just blushing or gushing blood. He's bleeding all over the place. And hey, hey, what's going on, guys? You guys need some help? No, we got it. He's got everything in his pack. We've been through this before. Not a big deal. So we kind of stopped because you're going to filter some water anyway. And kind of one of those things where you sort of find something to do because you don't want to leave a person in the backcountry who's obviously in some type of distress, even if they're telling you they're okay.
Absolutely. Because that's always going to be their first answer anyway. They're either going to be hysterically grabbing you to help them, or they're going to say, no, we're good, but they're not good. You made the right call, but continue.
Right. People's pride does, it'll do weird things to them. The ego's a spooky thing. In this case, there was a little bit of hubris going on there. And we kind of knew something was up. So we're kind of taking our time and doing little fiddly busy work with our packs just to kind of gauge the situation without actually looking at them and making them feel uncomfortable. And, sure enough, a couple minutes goes by and, hey, do you guys have this? And do you guys have that? We don't have this. And, I was able to give them a couple butterfly bandages and some duct tape and basically kind of fashioned up a sort of a pressure bandage for the guy's hand. And we sat around and talked for a while, and he kind of got a hold of himself again and, thanked us for it. But it's just one of those things where, I got home from hiking that day, and my next trip to the grocery store, I stopped in the first aid aisle and replaced all the stuff that we had used. You got to remember to keep it stocked, which is exactly what happened to them. They had used that stuff at some point and thought to themselves, I always had the first aid kit in my pack, but I never actually thought about replenishing the supplies that they'd used out of it.
That makes perfect sense. And, we said it already on this episode. Sometimes you're bringing stuff in your pack for people you come across on the trail, and this was an exact example of that, which is why it's nice to look out for one another when you're out there.
Sure, yeah, everyone is out there to have fun. It shouldn't be a big competition. I mean, granted, people are out there trying to set fastest known time records and things like that, but if you're not out there to have fun and experience the outdoors with like-minded people, I mean, why are you really out there? So a lot of the things that go in your pack, you don't want to ever have to use, but it's nice to know that they're there just in case.
Absolutely. So let's we're going to start to wrap up the show here, but before we do, I got a couple more questions. So while we're still on backpacks, what's in your backpack? So take me through the must-have items in your pack throughout the year.
Sure. So year-round stuff, map and compass, absolutely. And I always make sure I had the correct map. I keep a little map case in my pack, so there's always a map in there. To make sure it's the right one. I always got a compass in there, a headlamp and a spare headlamp and spare batteries. Because if you're out at night and your headlamp batteries go dead, it kind of sucks trying to change them either by someone else's headlamp or if you're hiking by yourself with no light at all. So the first thing I do is resort to my backup headlamp. And then if that one's going to start going bad on me before before it completely winks out, I'll go ahead and change the batteries to the one I was using before.
Absolutely.
Um, a water filter. So I've got two that I use primarily. I've got a Sawyer Mini and a Sawyer Squeeze. Both of them are excellent water filters. They both have their advantages. The Sawyer Squeeze is a little bit bigger, a little bit heavier, but it does also filter water about twice as quickly as the Mini does. The Mini is awesome because it's tiny, hence the name Mini. It's very effective, but it does take quite a while to filter water. But if you're in a situation where time isn't as much of an issue as space and weight is, then I'm probably going to go to the Mini. Let's see. First aid kit, obviously, doesn't leave the pack. And I'll almost always have a spare change of socks, some type of snack. I usually pack a lunch. There's a whole plethora of different trail foods out there, but I like to eat like real food when I'm out on the trail. I find that it does the job better. But I'll still always have like a Cliff Bar or some energy blocks or something like that, just in case. And that's pretty much it.
Do you keep any, like sleeping pads or emergency shelters or things like that in your pack as well?
Oh, sure. So
I feel like a guy like you does have all of that jazz in there.
Sure. So I've got the SOL shelter. Like I said, it's kind of like a Mylar blanket.
Oh, sure. Yes. Yes.
And there's a few other things that are really kind of weather and distance dependent. So the stuff I just rattled off is the stuff that's always in my pack, which maybe equals a pound or a pound and a half total. In the wintertime, definitely. So I have like an ultralight bivy comes out with me. Pretty much a spare complete change of clothes, with the exception of, I don't pack an extra pair of soft shell pants or an extra shell, but everything else besides that, I've usually got a spare. And in the summertime, I like to always have an extra empty water bottle. So what I'll do is usually I'll stop at Stewart's, pick up a couple Smart Waters on my way to the trailhead, crush one on the way there, keep one to drink along the way. But the Smart Water bottles work awesome for screwing into the back of those inline filters. It's like the Sawyer Squeeze and the Sawyer Mini. The Smart Water bottles will actually screw into the back of those perfectly. They work a lot better than the soft bladders that come with them. So if you have to stop, it's easier to fill them up out of a stream or a brook or a lake or whatever they fit in. Then you can use the actual filter as a mouthpiece and just continue to drink right out of it.
Very cool. It's a nice little hack right there.
Something else that I keep in my backpack that's kind of unique to me probably, this one might need some explaining, is a compass. Or not a compass, I'm sorry, a protractor. So, and not like the type of protractor you would have used in like geometry class in school. This is like a military navigation protractor. So it weighs maybe a couple grams. It's a small square piece of plastic with some navigational information on it and some viewing windows. And you can overlay it on a map and basically navigate anywhere without using a compass. So I'll go to the map and compass, and I do like to navigate by map and compass, and they're always with me. But compasses can fail. They have moving parts. So anything with a moving part can, in theory, fail. You can drop it and break it, or any number of things can go wrong with it. I actually had a bottle of bug spray leak in my pack one time, and it wore all the markings off the compass. Like everything got wiped off it, which is a really weird thing. So be careful with the DEET, right?
Absolutely. I live my life by that rule.
So the navigation protractor is something that I keep with me as well, because you can basically navigate with that and a map. No compass necessary, although it is a nice thing to use just to supplement your navigation device.
Absolutely. Very cool. And real quick, what size packs do you use in the winter versus the summer?
The wintertime, I use a 50-liter pack. If I'm going to be going out more than just a couple miles, if it's a very short hike, I've got a 35-liter that I'll use. It's enough that I can fit everything I'll need for a couple hours out there. Summertime, I usually either use a 15 or a 22-liter.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So, in your opinion, spending a lot of time here in the Adirondacks, what do you think what do you think makes the Adirondacks a unique and a special place to visit? You're obviously spending a lot of time out here on the trails. These trails and the mountains, they mean a lot to you personally. What makes them special in your mind?
That's a tough question, James. I'll have to say this. So unlike national parks or any other access controlled areas, the Adirondacks isn't just a park, it's a community. So there's 130,000 plus people who live there. They go to school there, hunt there, fish there, hike, go to work, get married, start families, everything within the Blue Line boundary. And it's all done in complete collaboration, for the most part, with the local flora and fauna, and is done without any type of special access privileges. It's not just a patch of land. It's where people like yourself, you call it your home.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to have any type of a permit or a sticker on your car or anything just to walk out in the woods there. So it's not just a typical park. It's a very rugged and wild area, but at the same time, it's home to people as well. And it's a very balanced area because of that.
I really appreciate you saying that. I've never heard that as an answer when I've asked this question to people, and it's some good insight that you're giving there, because it's true. You don't realize that. Yeah, that's right. People don't live in all these other national park places or these wild places like here in the Adirondacks. So it is a fortunate place to be, 100%. And then my final question for you, Mr. Kenny, why do you hike? It is strenuous on the body. It is difficult to do. No one's forcing you out there on those trails. What's the reason that you like to go out?
Absolutely, hands down, above all, is because I look great in nylon and polyester.
Dude, I feel you on that one.
Now, there's a lot of reasons. I think the biggest is really because it allows me to literally and figuratively unplug and disassociate with everyday stressors in modern life. I'm not being distracted or being interrupted by social media or news media or anything like that. You just go out, you're on the trail, and even in the busiest sections in the ADK, if you hit it the right time of day, the right time of week, you can go for miles and miles and miles all day long without seeing another person. And not only that, but just the physical challenge involved in it, and the fact that you're just out in the woods doing it, it's just really, really holistically rewarding for you.
Well, I think we could talk about gear until the end of time, Kenny, but I think it's time to wrap it up at this point. I hope this conversation gave you guys some insight on gear and to what to try out and how to build out your packs if you're just starting out hiking, or if you want to try something new. I hope you got some tips and tricks. The best way to find out what works for you is to try it out, build your gear and your clothes from the basic ideas that Kenny laid out for us today. Thanks again to Kenny for lending his knowledge and experience on this subject today. And thanks to all of you for listening to another edition of the Summit Sessions here on the 46 of 46 podcast. Keep checking back for new mountains, new stories, new guests, and new episodes coming soon. Remember to always leave no trace, do the rock walk, and if you carry it in, carry it out. Everything, every time, banana peels and all. See you on the trails, folks. Pure ADK is an online community and lifestyle brand that creates Adirondack-inspired apparel and goods. They're all about sharing their adventures and creating quality products that are a reflection of the outdoor lifestyle and activities we love in the Adirondack Mountains. Whether born and raised an Adirondack native or a frequent vacationer, we all have a common bond, those feelings and memories that the Adirondacks evoke in us. As a bonus for listeners of the podcast, they're providing a 15% off discount. When shopping in their online store, use the promo code 46podcast to redeem the offer. PureAdirondacks.com. Check it out. 46podcast. Pure ADK. Exploration unbound.